In this video tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at creating a new rhinestone design from an existing rhinestone design. Now we're going to be using CorelDRAW X6 in this video demonstration, but if you are using the Easy Stone macro with any version of CorelDRAW going back to CorelDRAW X4 or the very latest version of CorelDRAW, what you're going to see here is basically going to be the same no matter what version of CorelDRAW you're using. The Easy Stone demo, if you go to our website, easystonetemplates.com, if you go, there's a little search box there. If you go in and just type Easy Stone demo, you can download Easy Stone and use it, and it never expires. The demo version never expires now. It's not a software that we sell anymore, but it is provided free of use. And for those of you who are not already aware, there is one small caveat to working with Easy Stone. Number one, there's no support, so don't call me with questions. Um, Although if you do have a question, I can try and help you with that. But because we don't charge for the software any longer, we really don't have the ability to uh, offer much support. But there are hundreds of videos on our YouTube channel. Any question that you have about Easy Stone's probably already covered in those video demonstrations. You just have to sit down and watch them. But the only caveat to working with Easy Stone is it only works with the 32-bit version of CorelDRAW. It was developed many years ago, before the Windows 64-bit platform was real prevalent, and it was in CorelDRAW X6 that the Corel Corporation even created a 64-bit version of CorelDRAW. Previous to that, we only had 32-bit version. In terms of rhinestone design, it's completely irrelevant if you're using a 32-bit version of CorelDRAW or a 64-bit version of CorelDRAW. And one other point to make is you can have both the 32-bit and 64-bit versions of CorelDRAW installed at the same time. All right, so just do your research a little bit on how to get your 32-bit version of CorelDRAW installed. That's step one. Download the demo. Easy Stone will never expire. All right. So at any rate, let's go ahead and import the existing design that we're going to be using. We're going to be using just a JPEG version. This is just kind of just for the background. So this was done for a shirt. You can see it's 10 1/4 inches tall right now. And somebody asked, well, could you make a similar design to fit on a tumbler? And this is a struggle that we always have, is we don't know. We don't know if we can or not. We bring the design in and we'll take a look at it. So the first thing we need to do is resize this design to fit on a tumbler. Now I'm told that it can only be 4 inches tall, which immediately throws up a red flag for us, because I don't know if we could make that design only to be 4 inches tall. It must be a small tumbler, because 4 inches is not very big. But I think it's important that you see the process, because I've seen a lot of video demonstrations on rhinestone design, and you don't really see this type of demonstration usually. So the first step is we're going to resize it. So we'll come over here to the Specialty tab and hit Set Size, and we'll click on the very top, and we will click on the very bottom. And right now it's 17 inches, but we want it to be 4. So now it's 4 inches. So we're going to right click on that and lock her down. So now it's 4 inches. Now what we have to do is we have to determine how much of this design can we reproduce with it only being 4 inches. I have no idea. I would imagine it's going to look vastly different than this one, because it is super tiny now. So I don't know. What we're going to do is we're going to put a couple of rhinestones down and see the diameter of the stone, how that relates to our artwork. So let's go ahead and set our color to pink, and we'll drop a 6. And we will drop a 10. So now you can see the size of these stones in relationship to our artwork. So these could probably work for that, for example. But you can see this is an SS6 stone, and you can see we couldn't. This is way too small. You see the issue? So we can create something similar, perhaps, but it is definitely going to be different. So the first thing I would probably do is go ahead and place these. See, that one's too small, so let's shrink it down. And then this one too. If I can use the SS10 stone, I want to use it. I think I can use a 10 there. Definitely can use one there. I better use a smaller one here and here, but I think I can use a bigger one there. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now, one of the other critical things when we're talking about doing rhinestone design, and once you hear about it, go look at some rhinestone designs and you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. This design is symmetrical on the left and the right. So we only need to design half of it. There's no need to design the whole design. And I've seen so many times when I'm looking at the rhinestone designs in the marketplace where it's a symmetrical design, but the left is different than the right. Like somebody literally stoned the right side and the left side, even though it's perfectly symmetrical. Craziness. So we're going to save ourselves some time, and we're just going to put in a vertical guideline, and there we go. That will take care of that. Now we can switch over to wireframe mode. Sometimes it's helpful when we have this bitmap. Another thing we could do, and I might as well show you that because I do it quite often, is we have to unlock our bitmap for a moment. But oftentimes, what will be helpful for you too when you're using your artwork is to change the transparency. So in that way, we'll actually be able to see through it. So this um, little wine glass here. Now, this is a custom toolbar that you can also download. If you go to our website and go into our store, it's free, and just type in CorelDRAW toolbar or something to that effect. This will pop up and you can install the CorelDRAW toolbar. There's a video demonstration on our YouTube channel on how to install a custom toolbar. But these are just the common everyday CorelDRAW tools that I use a lot, so I like to have them readily available. I mean, you could find them over here. You could see there's a little transparency icon here to the left. This is just a little bit. These are all the tools I use all the time, basically. So that's why I like to have them in this toolbar. So anyhow, I've selected my bitmap, I've selected my transparency tool, and then I'm just going to come up here and choose uniform, and you can see already my bitmap is much lighter. And so I'll just increase the transparency so I can still see the original artwork. It's just lighter and it's a bit more vivid this way rather than going into wireframe mode. Sometimes I'll go into wireframe mode. Sometimes I'll just lower the transparency of the original artwork so we can see things a little bit more clearly. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this set of stones around the outside perimeter here. And so I tell you what, before we get too much farther into it, let's go ahead and change these to, these were Capri Blue, I believe, is what the original artwork was Capri Blue. So that way we can follow along the original artwork a little bit better. So I'm going to draw a circle, and of course, we're going to start from the center of that one and pull it out. And now I have something I can stone. I'm just going to add, we'll change our color here. I'm just going to add some SS10 stones to it just so you can see. Okay, so there you go. So it did go ahead and add those stones to it. I'm actually going to undo that. I just wanted to see what that was going to look like, and I think that's going to be okay. So now what I want to do is see how we had multiple stones in here. I'm going to offset this circle to the inside and stone the second line with SS6 stones. So what we're going to do is come over here to the stone field tab and choose this function here. And basically what we're going to tell it, we want to go from 6 to 10 and go to the inside, create the offset. So now you can see how much that has been offset. So let's go back in and set that to 10, and then this to 6. See there? And then we're going to change that color to Capri Blue. I'm sorry, Crystal. And then this should be Capri Blue. Which means I'm going to put this one. Let's go ahead and delete our path. We don't need our path anymore. And so then this stone here is going to become an SS10 crystal stone. Okay, so now you can kind of see that you can kind of see what we're doing here is, yes, it's going to look somewhat similar to the existing design, but obviously we're not going to be able to replicate it with all of this detail. So we're going to, it's going to be, definitely considerably less detail. So, but we'll be able to create a good looking design nonetheless. All right, so let's go ahead and begin with the bottom here, and I'll just show you what I would do. Is I'm going to start in with an SS6 stone here. I'm going to switch that over to crystal. I want a nice gap between that line and this line, and then I'm just going to come in with a couple of 6s, switch over to a 10, go back to a 6. And I'm just more or less following along there. What am I? Let's see. Oh, I'm gonna say I grabbed a different color stone. Let's go back to crystal. There we go. All right. So you can kind of see what we did there. So then I'm just going to keep continuing on here, just kind of mimicking the original artwork. Then we'll go here. And all I'm doing is clicking, dragging, right-clicking. That makes a duplicate in CorelDRAW. Let's go ahead and change that over to a 10. I think we're just going to use 6s and 10s in this example. We could possibly introduce some 16s in there too if we wanted to, just for a little extra dimension. But for this, we're just going to do 6s. Okay, so now we've kind of followed that along. And then I'll come in here, grab me an SS10, switch back over to a 6 and a 6. And then we'll come down here, put that into a 10, and then a 6, and a 6. And we're going to go ahead and make that a 6 and a 6. So that takes care of that kind of little detail down there. Now let's go back to the top here. And basically we're going to do the same up top. So we'll switch over to a 10, a 10, a 10, a 6, and a 6, a 6, a 6, a 10, and a 6. Come back over here with a 6, a 6, switch over to a 10 there. So you can see, I've done thousands of designs. So once you get kind of used to doing design work, you get a lot faster. It gets a lot easier to do your design work because you've done so many. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to switch back over. Let's see. I'm going to go with a 10 there, I guess. And then a 6 here. 6. I guess we'll do a 10 there too. And then do a 6. All right. So now that kind of takes care of that. One thing we can do, if you're, you won't see much happen here, but if we were in a situation where we were placing stones, And see how this one is touching one another? If you want to get that spacing exact, all we do is select these stones and then right click on D, and you can see that function will make the spacing perfect. Now because this was such a sharp angle, that one's touching, but then we can just nudge that one out of the way. And now we have perfect spacing all the way around. I've done so many designs that I pretty much, when I place it, it's as close as it would need to be. It may not be exact, but it's pretty darn close to being exact. All right, so now we have this situation here where we need to make this detail. So we have a guideline to help us out here. And what I want to try and do here, I couldn't. I could not do that second color like we did in the original design. Here I want to try and replicate a second color. And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but that's what our aim is. And so what we're going to do is we're going to just take that stone right there at the bottom and come to the top and go ahead and add some stones like so. Okay, so that's step number one. One thing I would point out too is you see how far I came away from this and up here. This is a little bit too tight, so I'm just going to move that. I want a similar white space there. So we will just space those stones out a little bit more. Okay, so like I said, I would like to have two different colors. So I'm just going to kind of do this part manually because we're going to use two different stone sizes. And a lot of times when we're doing design work, it's just kind of on the fly. So right here, I already see that this I think I want to be 10. And this I want to be 10. But you can see there we cannot fit another stone in there. So that, and this we're going to go ahead and make 10 as well. And then we're going to select all these stones again and space them out evenly vertically. So we cannot fit another stone in there, but if we did this, we could maybe do something a little bit different. So now I've split that off, and you can see I don't know how this is actually going to turn out, but we'll just try it here and see once. We'll see what it looks like. Okay, I think I'm just going to kind of leave it like that. It's hard to tell how that's really going to look, but there's two different colors there, and that's the main thing I wanted. I'm not sure that that stone arrangement is going to look right, but for right now, we're going to go with that. Okay, and then once we get a little bit closer to finishing the design, then we can take a look at it as a whole and see if we like it or don't. All right, so that takes care of that, and I'm just going to delete these stones here on the left because we're going to flip this whole design over here momentarily. But now we've got a situation where we've got to do this part, and then of course we have to do the bottom part. So let's go ahead and do that bottom part. So we'll come down here. Again, we're going to have a similar white space. And then we're going to go ahead and pull this all the way down to the bottom. And let's go ahead and combine those two. Let's add in some stones here. All right. So we're going to do basically the same thing we did up top, right? We're going to just come in here bit by bit. That'll work. And then we're going to switch over to 10s. And then we're going to do just like we did up top where we had 2 6s, kind of like that. We just fit it in there just like that. So now I can see we're getting close to this design element. So I'm going to come out one more time. And then perhaps do the 2. There we go. Then we could fit another one in there. And maybe what I'll do for this one is I'll try a 10 here. And then we'll try 6 here. But you can see we're going to be in the way of this a little bit. Watch what we're going to do here. This will be a... So, okay. So I'm going to stop right there because I want to just show you something. So sometimes we run into a situation when we're doing design work. This is obviously conflicting. Well, how could we fix that? Well, here's one option. I just want to do this to show you some interesting functionality here in CorelDRAW. We're just going to select all of this right here. Then we're going to click on it. We're going to, that's a rotation point. We're going to put it to that circle, and then I can just rotate ever so slightly that whole grouping, and now I have my clearance that I need. So it's just an option. I just wanted to show you that. There's different ways to get around stuff. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to a 10 here and a 10 here, and just keep coming out. Now I'm going to switch over and we're going to do a 6 and a 6. And then we'll go to a 10. And then for the very tip, we'll put a 6. Okay. So there we go. So now, and again, I don't really know how this is going to look just yet, but we'll find out here in a little bit. All right. So this stone here, we can go ahead and switch it over to a 10. And this one will be a 10. Now, we're not worried about all of our stone spacing just yet. In fact, I think what I'll do is I will go ahead and adjust that. I'm just going to adjust that manually for these two. All right, so pull this one out. So now I think I can fit a 6 in here. We're gonna leave that to be a 6, and this is going to be a 6, but then I'm going to switch back to 10s. And then I'll stick a 10 in there as well. So we're going to kind of create this little part of the design there. So then I'm going to come out here with a 10 again, and then we'll come out here with a 6. I'm then going to, because we're pretty close here, I'm going to take this stone, come all the way to the top, and hit select all. That'll select everything in between, and then I'll space all those vertically evenly. So now all these stones vertically are all spaced evenly. That's what we want. All right, so now we can fill in what's left there. So whatever stone sizes work best is what we're going to use. Probably a 6 then. I don't know. I don't like the way that looks, so let's just go this way. We'll put in a 6 here, and then maybe we'll switch that to a 10. And then we're going to switch this to a 10. And then we'll call it a day right there. So I'm going to take that bottom stone again and the top stone and space that out evenly vertically. Okay. So that gives us two different colors. It gives us more or less the existing geometry we had. And again, I don't really know how this is actually all going to look till the very end, but we have one more situation up top where we need to talk about geometry. So this is symmetrical. So again, we're only going to design half of it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. Remember that white space we talked about previously. So we want a similar white space. I'm going to come all the way out to the tip. Add some stones. And then we're going to just kind of go ahead and proceed. So we're going to do a 10 there, and a 10 here, and a 10 here, and another 10, and a 6, and a 6. So I think I can go a 10 here. And we can see this circle is right on the guideline, but it didn't have to be. So we can change. We could do, in other words, we could do this. We could do a 10 on this side of the line, and then when we mirror that, then we'll have a 10 on the other side of the line as well. So I think that's probably what we'll wind up doing in that scenario. And so that will take care of that. Okay, so that's it. So now we just have to do some flipping them around and we'll get things into place. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this design quick. Anytime I'm doing a mirror operation, sometimes things go awry quickly. So at any rate, I'm going to use my freehand selection tool here, and I'm going to select the bits that I want to mirror, and then I'm going to select this stone. This is going to be my mirror point, and we'll use this function in CorelDRAW for mirroring. And you can see what it did there. Because I clicked on the line, it just mirrored everything to the left. And so we don't want to do that. So I just wanted to show you how this function works. So we'll select everything again. That's going to be our mirror point, but this time we're going to right click. And it actually, so we're just going to right click here in CorelDRAW, and then you can see now it's mirrored everything vertically. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind. All right, so now we're going to mirror the entire design. So we'll come in here, select the entire design. Now the bottom stone is going to be our pivot point. And let's take a look at what we created and see if we like it. So we'll pull it apart here. We'll add the wheat box. And we can see it's pretty. I think that's pretty. It's similar into the design that we originally had. But you can also see it's very tiny. You know, it's only 4 inches. So let's go ahead and just copy this over and take a look. We'll do a quick proof on it. And on this one, I'll just use a black background. So you can see it's only 4 inches tall. It's 3 inches wide. So it is similar to what we had originally, but we also obviously had to make some serious sacrifices because it's so tiny. But ultimately, I think it looks pretty good. So that's it for this one. Hopefully, you've learned something how you can, take a great big design and shrink it down to nothing, and you can incorporate the original design just differently. And not every design is going to work like that. Not every design we're going to be able to shrink it down, but in this case, I think it worked out pretty well. Thanks for watching.